My name is Bill Freeman.
Right.
I'm a longtime resident. I was born here in Salinas. Currently a renter, and the reason why I support rent stabilization, each and every day I see more and more homeless people on the streets of Salinas. There's no reason why people have to be homeless. There's no reason why people have to struggle to pay the rent. And we live in one of the most expensive places to live in the country, and these people in the city council are not going to do what we want them to do. I support rent stabilization, and majority of these people do not. They're not leaders. They're going to do what the big money people want them to do, the big money interests in Salinas. We need leaders that are going to do something for the people, not the big money interests.
Yeah. So you're saying rent is just too high here.
It's too high.
What's that like for renters who can't afford rent? Like, what is that? What kind of challenges do those pose?
People working 2, 3, 4 jobs to keep a roof over their head, and it's wrong. It's wrong. It's like in this country, you should be able to afford to live. You should be able to afford to have housing. There's no reason why you should have to work 4 jobs to support your family and have some place to live. There's no reason for it.
It's my understanding that the previous city council before this one actually was involved in getting some of these protections in the first place.
Yes, last year. Last year.
Right. So can you speak to, obviously, new city council comes in, it's all the new people that vote against it.
It's the 5 people that came in that voted against it, that got rid of it, the Rental Stabilization Protections for people who live here. 53% of the people who live here rent. So it's not like it's a small portion of people who rent. It's the majority of the people who live here in Salinas. And the rent is too high. The cost of living is too high. And like I said before, they're going to vote a certain way. They're not going to do what we want them to do, and I know that. But they're not leaders. They're following the money that got them elected last November.
So yeah, why do you think there's that big difference between the previous city council and this one?
Because these people don't care about the majority of the people. They care about the big money interests that got them elected. They lied about everything they did last year to get elected. They lied. And they got money from the big ag people that got them elected. And they're listening to those people instead of the people that need their help in terms of housing.
Right. So I heard Mayor Donahue said, well, some of these protections, they're actually redundant. There's already protections from the state. So
they're not redundant. They're not redundant. A lot of cities do have rental protections, and there's no reason why in a working neighborhood like this, where you have a majority of people working in the fields, and the average income is not very high, and the cost of living is much too high for people, and we need this so that we don't see more homeless people on the street of Salinas. I'm going to tell them that I support rental stabilization. The city council should as well, because it's necessary for people to have good lives here, to be able to not have to struggle to have housing.
In Salinas at the Rotunda, a crowd gathered to voice their opposition to the current city council's decision to repeal rent stabilization efforts passed by the previous city council. In June, the Salinas City Council voted to repeal 4 critical tenant protection laws: rent stabilization, just cause eviction, tenant anti-harassment, and the rental registry. These protections were designed to hold predatory landlords accountable and give renters a fair shot at stability in a city where most people rent, not own. Tonight, the City Council accepted a petition of over 10,000 signatures, more than enough to legally require a referendum against the City Council's repeal.
There were over 10,000 Salinas residents that wanted to keep the rent stabilization, tenant protections, unjust evictions, and a rental registry in place. You know, even people who are working full time are still, the rent is getting out of pace.
City Council will consider the issue on September 9th when they will have to vote to decide between repealing their own repeal ordinance and restoring tenant protections immediately, or put it to a vote and spend hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars on a special election.
Awesome. Yeah, just very simple questions, just about your opinion on the rent ordinances, if you have anything you'd like to share with the audience.
Okay.
Just things of that matter, nothing too
Oh, only about rent stabilization?
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to talk about.
All right. Well, you asked me,
as
I
well.
guess, about, yeah, well, and that's coming up next. Because I don't know if you wanted me to talk about the time limit thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other issue. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Not newsworthy, I guess.
Maybe that deserves a full-fledged story.
Yeah, because honestly, when I came in a decade ago, dude, they were doing 3 minutes a person.
Yeah, that's I think appropriate time. 3
And
minutes.
same with the county too. Almost everywhere, universally, jurisdiction-wide, was 3 minutes. And the more people that show up, especially in opposition, that's when they want to limit you.
Yeah.
Because they already pointed it out. We just need to be able to count to 4, and everything's legal.
Exactly.
You know, and we do what we want. We'll take your input, but we make the decisions. And they made that very clear in the District 1 meeting.
Yeah. It's weird. You said this is new.
Ever since Donahue got in, he started limiting in a lot of school boards, and they will limit your public comment to like 20 minutes because parents are worthless. You know, if you have a concern, who cares? You need to be able to make your comment last long enough for everyone to get their say.
Yeah.
And if they have good, bad, otherwise, that is your job. And if you're avoiding doing that, then why are you here? You don't need to be here. Somebody else. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Sure. Wes White.
Wes, I know you were very vocal about the rent ordinances or to repeal the repeal. What kind of comments do you have on what's happening here tonight?
Well, I mean, tonight's just accepting that over 10,000 signatures were gathered. Not all of them were registered correctly. Not all of them were filled out correctly for a signature block. But there were over 10,000 Salinas residents that wanted to keep the rent stabilization, tenant protections, unjust evictions, and a rental registry in place. That was done in August of last year by the previous city council, and throughout the whole time, for about 5 months, I think, there was deliberation. Steve McShane had just left office and just kind of threw his toys on the ground, and created as much chaos as possible. And yet still the rent stabilization went forward. They did have a meeting over there at the PAL building when Salazar challenged that people should get together and talk. The property managers put on an event, tried to say it was sponsored by the city, but it was not. And people did come, and they did talk. I have that on video, so there is proof that both sides did come together. And yet it was still passed, more or less because the city council can do what it wants, and it had majority. And as much as they're going to cry about not having public input, this is how they do every agenda item. We don't need your input. We will take your input because that's legally required, but we make the decisions. And that is highly frustrating as a constituent.
What are the either your reactions or the community reactions that you are seeing? And so I know there's a lot of people here in support of repealing the repeal. What have you been seeing or hearing?
I mean, there's an awful lot of people that don't even know about it. It is word of mouth is a big way. I mean, if you can save money, you're going to save money, and be in favor of it if you could hear it. A lot of property owners, I guess, there's where I've had a little bit of rub. You know, whether or not a lot of people are actually, even though they're property owners, they understand and they have more compassion than heartlessness. You know, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll sign it. I'll get my whole family to sign it, and that's been a blessing because it is hard to find people who are already in a better position and worry about keeping that door and ladder open. You know, but I've seen overwhelming support for maintaining the ordinances.
Very straightforward question. Why is it important to have affordable rent in Salinas?
If you can't afford rent, you will become housing insecure. You know, even people who are working full time are still the rent is getting out of pace. The groceries are getting out of pace. The bills, the utilities, sewer, they just doubled the sewer rates. You know, garbage, everything. What used to be included in the rent is now a separate utility charge. You know, and as all those part out, it's harder to stretch that dollar that you're not making more money with, but everything is demanding more from you. So that rent stabilization would keep you at 2.7% a year for what your rent is now and how much they can increase it next year. The state limit is 10%, so 5% plus up to 5% of CPI. And based on that, you know, we have a tighter constriction of 2.7, and when you do the math on that, on a $2,000, it's like $50, you know, which is more doable than the 400 that's been going across. The city manager made a point about, you know, you need to tell us if there's a problem. Okay, well, the people that I have talked to have said, hey, well, we have a problem. They'll call the city and go, you know, my landlord just raised my rent $300, and this is on the District 1 meeting. And you know, like what do I do? And the city's like, well, we don't know what's going to happen. Just pay it, which is actually subversive to the law that's in place. They're actually supposed to enforce that it's not in compliance. Instead, they just relinquish any kind of power for the renter and even abide by the law. Here's the law and order, folks. Not abiding only if it applies to me, you know, and that's the egregiousness of who's in charge. I mean, are we being authoritative or are we being authoritarian?